better worker than Rocket Khan, though.
Yeah. I wanted to ask a question about Bruiser Brody. I've heard this story before. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that Brody did Fritz von Erich a favor by doing a match here for Joe Blanchard in San Antonio where he basically killed the town on purpose to help World Class take over San Antonio. Basically, the story is, I think, he had a match with Mark Lewin, and he just sat on a headlock for about an hour. Do you know if there's any truth to the story?
I mean, I know about the match. I always thought that there was some problem with him in, I think it was, he would always have problems with promoters, and I think that was more likely than the idea that, he was out there trying to kill the town. I think it was more probably he was trying to, he was mad at the promoter for something and was going to show him.
Okay, and also one of our listeners wanted to know, did Herb Abrams ever try and sign Bruiser Brody for his UWF?
Wasn't Brody already dead by the time Herb Abrams was in town around? Or was that, I'm trying to remember the timing of that. Because I would think he would have tried, sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm not too sure on the timing.
No, because when Herb Abrams started UWF after, I remember when Herb Abrams did his big press conference for UWF. I was in New York. I was at the press conference. That was 1990, and Brody died in '88. So he at the press conference, Herb Abrams mentioned, that he might bring in like Bruiser Brody, and that's when we were all looking at each other, going like, "Oh my God, this guy's so freaking out to lunch. He doesn't even know that Bruiser Brody died, a year and a half ago." So yeah, no, Herb was, he was I don't know what to say about him. And he wanted to be somebody, and I guess he had saved some money, and he was great. He was crazy.
I've heard so many crazy stories about how he died. What exactly happened as far as details?
Didn't he have like a heart attack from an overdose, and he was screaming, and he had baby oil all over him and something? I don't remember all the details, but yeah, it was quite the crazy scene.
Yeah, I think he had either maybe strippers or prostitutes there, and I guess he started to scare them and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that's what them calling.
Yeah, maybe. I just remember it was some drug-induced heart attack that he was like naked and screaming or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost sounds like something you would hear off of like a CSI TV show or something. I mean,
yeah.
It was so crazy.
Yeah, really.
Are you sure it wasn't Hoovy? Now, Dave, I got a question. I'm looking through through our thread here, and people are discussing the release of Manu and some other guys recently. Is there any talk ever about releasing the writers? Because so often they come up with, we got nothing for you, future endeavors, blah blah blah.
Well, I mean, they get rid of writers left and right. Most writers don't last very long at all. I mean, it's obviously it's a very, very difficult, trying experience, and almost every writer who leaves has nothing good to say about their time there. Whether it's Stephanie or working with Vince or just the whole working conditions. I mean, they pay relatively well, but it takes over your life. And getting that much done is difficult anyway. I mean, I feel sorry for the writers, honestly. More than it's just too much. It's too much product to have to fill, every week with the staff that they have on it. But and also, because Vince changes everything. It's like even when they have a direction. I mean, I've heard some great angles come out of that writers' room. Long-term angles, and by the second week in, they're already ruined because obviously Vince changed something that was important to make the angle work. And once that happens, then everything's screwed up. That's happened all the time. I mean, I know. The Flair thing, I mean, it's like, the whole way the Flair thing was originally laid out was brilliant, and it was never even close to that, I mean, not even close.
Right. But it's like they released Colt Cabana over, supposedly blowing a squash match, and it's like, this guy gets one shot, and how bad did he fucking blow it up? Did his dick fall out?
I didn't see it, but I didn't understand that at all, and if they had watched, his work on FCW as far as TV, I just can't imagine they wouldn't go like, we got something here as far as an announcer. But, whatever reason, obviously they didn't think that.
Dave, I wanted to ask you another question about Bruiser Brody. I know we'll never know the truth because I'm sure Jose Gonzalez will never actually admit to why he did it. But if you could say like one reason why
people have asked him, and he's given reasons. So I mean, they can't try him anymore on it. There's no, you can't do double jeopardy. Basically, he felt that Brody disrespected him. I don't think he was trying to kill him, but I think that he was, I think he was trying to hurt him real bad, and just felt, he felt, that Brody didn't listen to him, and he was the booker, and he was the power, and so, he ambushed him.
Yeah, that's just, I actually get mad when I think about this because, I mean, I'm such a big fan of Brody, and then just to see Jose just never, pay a penny or spend a day in jail for this. I mean, it's.
Well, the thing, even, not just that, but the thing that bothered me the most, by far the most, never ever, is, whatever it was. I mean, he was back in wrestling in a couple of months, which was ridiculous, and he was back booking. And it's just like that guy should have never, at work, he should have never been back in wrestling. I mean, it's like the fact that he was, it just, I understand, I mean, it's the nature of the business. When you're desperate, you bring anyone back, including a murderer. But I mean, geez, it was only a couple months later. And also the promotion itself, trying to taint the jury pool by portraying, him as a victim on television before the trial. That was pretty bad too. But I mean, that they're going to take care of their friend. That I guess the whole thing. But I mean, just the idea, that he was back booking the for years and years. He was booking IWA, when Victor Quinones owned it, and Victor Quinones was friends with Brody. I mean, granted, it was 25 years later, and there was a lot of soul searching to bring him back at that point. But and Savio was so negative about it. Savio absolutely, was dead set, but Quinones, brought him in. I mean, I shouldn't say Booker. I don't think he was Booker. He wasn't Booker. He was only talent. But I just remember that whole thing going down where Savio was just like, still, like that he should never be brought in. And Quinones was, if he can help us draw, we don't have a choice. So they brought him back. He had actually his retirement in IWA, not in WWC. Although IWA did stop doing the Brody Memorial Show when they had Gonzalez because they just felt that, Quinones felt once they hired Gonzalez, it would be in too bad a taste to do the Brody Memorial Show. And then WWC ended up doing the Brody Memorial Show, which to me was an even worse taste because that was the company where, they covered it up. You know what I mean? So, and they actually did the Brody Memorial Show in the stadium that Brody died in at one year.
Well, do you think the reason that Carlos Colon hasn't made it into the Observer Hall of Fame is because of his part in the supposed cover-up of this? Do you think
I don't think it's helped him. As far as like the whole reason why, I don't know that he would have gotten in otherwise. It's possible. I mean, of guys who aren't in, Colon certainly between longevity and drawing power, by that standard should be in. But a lot of wrestlers, not just wrestlers, a lot of people vote based on, on how good a worker you were. And Colon really, or the idea that, maybe when you're the promoter, if you're the promoter in a place and you make yourself the top babyface and it's an isolationist place, a lot of guys who aren't all that talented as wrestlers have managed to do very, very well in that regard. But you put him in a neutral place, like Colon. I mean, when Colon went to San Antonio, he wasn't a big star. When he went to, when they brought him to New York, he completely flopped. So, so there's that thing of like, okay, he was great in his territory, but how great was he? And there's a lot of guys who worked on top with Colon, and drew big crowds with Colon that didn't vote for him for the Hall of Fame. And, when I talked to him, it was like, hey, it's not one of the 10 best guys on the ballot. So that didn't, it's not, people don't say, oh, because of Brody. I don't think I think that it's cost him votes. It might have even cost him getting in, but there's a lot of people who wouldn't have voted for him anyway. I mean, like with me, I'm always torn when I think about it because, again, it's like, was he a good enough wrestler to be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely not.